All right, hello. Today is Tuesday, January the 18th, and we were back in session. And of course, the legislator that were up there just could not wait to get back with bills and debate. And so here we are. On the House floor, I wanted to start off by just mentioning it was really touching to see our brand new representative from Harriman, representative out there that just got put in. She invited in all of the 33 police dog teams, and they actually flooded the House floor to pay tribute for the honor dog Hondo that had passed away and was killed in the line of duty just this last week. So that was really unique to see. It was also nice where the Speaker of the House, Brad Wilson, mentioned how all of the barking and barraying that was going on, it was nice to see that coming from canines, where that was typically something that you would see from the legislators themselves. Up on the Hill today, we saw a number of bills come through, and this was one of the busier sessions with contested bills. We actually had 7 bills come through as contested. So let's run through them kind of quick, because I really want to touch on an important matter, which is some more red flag legislation that's come out. And this one, in my opinion, way worse than what Representative Handy had proposed. But we'll get to that in just a moment. So 7 bills, like I mentioned, were contested. We had HB 197, first substitute, and this was that fishing and hunting restrictions for the non-payment of child support. So if you are not paying your child support, you may no longer be able to receive a hunting or fishing license. Initially, the fiscal note was going to be about $24 million. That's why we had this first substitute. They scratched it all the way back to about $6 million. And it did pass, but it was contested. We also had HB 243 first substitute. This was the one that the news has gone crazy for. And the title is simply Warning Label Amendments. And this is about obscene material or pornography that is on the internet, and it must carry a warning label or face a $2,500 fine per violation. And here's the other interesting thing, plus fees. This one was contested heavily by the Democrats, who made some interesting points, I must say. They did not like this word obscene, even though Representative Brammer did his best to say this is what the courts currently accept. They say, this is still leaving it up to the court to decide what is obscene or not. And even Brammer had to admit that it's difficult to say what is obscene, but I know it when I see it, which is difficult because in the eye of the beholder, what really is obscene? Now, I get what they're trying to do here, and as a parent, I support it. As a person who abhors pornography, I support it. As a person who loves the fact that about 4 years ago, our legislators passed a resolution saying that pornography is a huge issue. So all of this means let's do something. And so they're trying to penalize those. The other thing was Representative Siege Miller brought up a really good point when he said by having this warning, it will allow a lot of the SEOs and other things that are trying their best to filter this content, that it just won't be able to sneak in, which is the biggest issue. We also had HB 116 second substitute. And this is on murdered and missing Indigenous peoples, girls, and LGBTQ task force creation. Evidently, there is a problem in the state of Utah with this, and so task force to go out and try to combat this. Again, some liked it. It did pass. Some did not like it. We also had SB 213 first substitute, and this is consent language amendment. Little interesting one here. So what it basically boiled down to is that the consent language is now changed. So if a person was to consent to one act, they are not consenting to another. What does that exactly mean? I'll leave it up to you to decide. Again, it was heavily debated. Some liked it, some didn't. Myself personally, I think it's a good bill. Again, some people may go too far, or they may say, yes, we can go back to your house, but I'm not going to allow you to do whatever, or do this, but not that. SB 127, motorcycle right-of-way amendments, kind of sums it all up. Some didn't like that. HB 182, second substitute. Another interesting one. This is all about your driver's license record amendments. It was actually said that the data that is brought in through our driver's license. So your social security card, your height, your weight, your eye color, all of this is one of the reasons why Huntsman Cancer Institute is here in the good state of Utah, because they're able to use this data for cancer research, whether you knew that or not. So what this is it's the ability for a person to simply opt out of the database with the driver's license or the need to control our personal information. This was brought to us by Representative Lisonbee. I really like this. Many didn't. HB 292, Internet Voting Study. They're not saying we're going to do it now. They're not saying we're going to do it later. Let's just fund $9,000 to study the possibility of internet voting. That one also contested, even by our Speaker of the House, Brad Wilson, did not like that. We had one other interesting bill that is just coming out of the hopper, and it is a requested bill by Senator Jacob Anderegg, and its title, we don't have the entire language yet, is a statewide comprehensive rail plan. Now, we've been hearing of this. How are they going to do it? The national legislation is really seeking for the federal government to flood some funds into Utah to help us to be able to have 2 lanes for our rail transport. We'll see what happens there. Let's get into the heart of the matter, though. I wanted to touch on a very dangerous bill, and this is Senate Bill 87 called Firearm Commitment Amendments. This is brought to us by Daniel Thatcher. He's done some other legislation over the years that has been really disruptive in those of us that consider ourselves constitutionalists, that do not like to see the rights of individuals infringed upon in any way, shape, or form. This bill, not very long, 104 lines, and I usually don't do this, but today we will. We need to read some of these lines because I don't want to put words in Senator Thatcher's mouth. This is what he submitted. So let's jump down to some of these new lines, starting in line 74. It says, and I quote, "A law enforcement agency may not return a firearm to an owner cohabitant requesting return of the firearm if the owner cohabitant is the subject of any pending determination that may result in the owner cohabitant becoming a restricted person under this section." So again, there's been no crime committed. However, this is a preemptive movement of removing a person's firearm. Jumping up on line 52, it says, if the law enforcement agency receives documentation under the subsection, a notation of the pending determination of which the owner cohabitant is subject, and any other information law enforcement agency has been aware of and is determined to be relevant to the commitment of the firearm. So that's what this bill is all about. It's all about coming and removing a person's firearm, right? So, and it says that who is this cohabitant? Well, it could be the person living in your basement. It could even be your neighbor. It could be really anyone who views you as a threat. And no documentation is necessary. In fact, where my mind goes with this is the person may be able to even make this claim against you with anonymity, because they may be able to state, hey, I have fear for my life if this person finds out it was me. So how are we protected? And especially where the Second Amendment states shall not be infringed. Now, am I for people who are breaking the law to have weapons? No, and none of us are. Let's be clear about that. But what we're saying here is that with no due process, with no court, with just the supposition of a report that, as it says on line 34, the interest of safety and well-being, whatever that means, is threatened in some way. So very, very, very subjective. Some quotes that I put down below that I would love you to reference often. Let's read through these. So this is first by Thomas Jefferson. He said, "What country can preserve its liberties if their rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms." Thomas Jefferson also is quoted saying, "No free man shall ever be debarred the use of arms." Thomas Jefferson also said, "Let your gun therefore be your constant companion of your walks." Thomas Jefferson also said, "The laws that forbid the carrying of arms are laws of such nature, they disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage than to prevent homicides, for an unarmed man may be attacked with greater confidence than an armed man. So think about this again, and what are we doing, and why, in the hopes of safety, would we ever subject ourselves to these types or this type of legislation? Again, the link is below. Please contact Representative Thatcher, contact your representatives, and let's ensure that a bill of this nature never sees the light of day. It will be too late if this bill makes it through committee onto the House floor. People are just way too busy to care. We as a populace must care, and we must be proactive in making sure that we offer our legislatures our voice. They are there to represent us. So we must be the voice of reason, and we must be their voice of confidence when they vote for us. Again, thank you so much for watching. Hope this has been helpful. Please place your comments down below, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you again.